Yes.
Yeah, that's good then. All right. So within my body, let me create a div. Within this div, let me give it an identity. Let me call it map. So I need a div within this map. Let me give it a height. Let's say height should be equal to. Let me give it 100 VH. Okay. Okay. So when we're dealing with the HTML, we learned how to call our leaflet into our HTML document by calling the leaflet JS and then the CSS, and then adding our external JS file. So we are going to do exactly that. Should have a project that have that already. So I'm just going to go into that project. I think I should have it over here. Static. So I'm going to get this leaflet and then JS. So I'm just copy this. So let's go back. Django, feature collector. And let's go into our static files. So like I said earlier on, we keep the CSS JS files within the static folder. So I come into my static folder, collector, and then I paste it over here. All right. So let's check. So I have jQuery in here, and then I have main.js and map.js. Let me check the main.js. This thing shouldn't be new to you guys because you already know what the scripts stand for. They are the URL links to the tiles that we'll be using. So they are all referenced in here. I don't think I'll need all of this. So let's so refresh control. So yeah, so this is let me not explain too much. You already know this. The ID to in here I created a unique identification map. Now I'm calling that same unique identification over here. So I'm saying that the leaflet tiles that I want to be displayed should be displayed within this div. All right, so let me create the connection from this HTML to this main.js so that the functions that we defined over here will be able to reflect in here. So we come down here, we open the script tag, then we add a source. And we are saying that because we are using a lot of jQuery, you always start with jQuery before your leaflet JS comes. Then if you need your main JS would come. So I'll start from static. We keep it within the static for we start from the static URL. Then from static, I have collector. Then from that collector, static collector, I have JS. Then from JS, I have jQuery.main.js. So let me choose jQuery.main.js. Copy the same thing again, and then I do same to the leaflet.js and then my main.js. But when I come here, I realize there's no leaflet within this part, so I close this and then I come to leaflets. Within leaflet, I have my leaflet.css and then leaflet.js. So from collector, I must come to leaflets. So from collector, I'll do it here. Come to leaflets. Then I call leaflets. .js. Then I can call my main.js. And I hope you get why the order of referencing is in this way. We are doing that because when we come into the main.js is calling, you have this L over here standing for leaflets. So we are referencing certain things from the leaflet file. So the leaflet would have to be referenced first before the main.js comes. Otherwise, we are going to have an error saying that the L or the leaflet we are referencing is undefined. Okay, let's see what we have. Now we have our leaflet showing, but we can see that it's not showing like we expect it to show. The reason being that we've not added the leaflet to CSS. So let's add the CSS also. So we added CSS to the head. We call link. And then our CSS can be found in the static collector. We move into leaflets. Then we have leaflet.css. All right, now we have our leaflet showing. Okay, this is okay. Let me change. That's 7. Okay, this should be okay. So we have this. Now we want to be able to collect some features from this map. So assuming, let's see if I have. I can't see anything from here. I can't see anything from here. Okay. So we are going to make some assumptions here. So we are assuming we want to take some features. So we are assuming this should be maybe, okay, this is a park, and then this is going to be water. And then we are assuming that this might be bare land or road or whatever. So we want to be able to take these features and then load them into our database with the coordinates also. So for us to be able to do that, it means that we'll have to click on this interface. Once we click on this interface, we should have something like a pop-up menu showing, giving us some input fields. Then from those input fields, we'll be able to enter maybe the name of the feature, and then automatically should be able to pick the coordinate of the particular area that we are dealing with. So to do that, let's come back here. So yeah, let me just do it here. I open another script tag. This time around, I want to define my own functions over here. So I'm saying if the map is on, let's open this. If the map is on, so if the map is on and then there is a click on the map, there should be a function. What do I want that function to do? So that function should have an event, and then from the event I should get the lat long. So I should say event dot lat long. So let's see what this gives us. Console.log. So let's say I click here. Let's inspect the page. Let's go to console. I have console. I don't have any info showing over here. And there are no errors also. All right, let's see. So if this is clicked from the event, we want to get the last line. So let me call reflex, right? I want the marker to be initialized there. From the marker, I want a list. E dot last long. Let me get the last first. Then let's try E dot last long. Let's get the long first. Once we have this, we can have options. Options like draggable. Should we drag it? Let's say it should be equal to true. Let me call this. Let me give it this a name, marker. And let me keep this in here. So when I get the marker, let me console.log the marker. The marker should be the point. Okay. Okay, right. We have it now. So we have our lat long, we have our lat over here, and then our long here. So you can see some input there. Okay. So we have this marker. Draggable should be equal to true. Yeah, so I think that's it. So assuming we click on it, we want a pop-up to show. So for a pop-up to show, let's say pop-up content. And this pop-up content. So I want to put in a pop-up content over here. The pop-up content should be a form, an HTML form. So what we can do is can come down here, right? And then I create the form over here, which should be quite easier for me to see. So I open the form. Let me give it an ID, say form. You open a form. Let's initialize this CS. So we have what we call Csrf token, and what this does is that it's a security layer that you add to most forms on the web interfaces, so that whenever it's just to prevent any attacker from inducing you to enter some form of information where the attacker will take control of the system. So we call this Csrf token. When we want an input, right? We want input. The input should be a text. Sorry, it should be type. The type should be a text. Now we want it to have a name. The name should be, let's go to our models, and then this should be the first name. And the reason why we are putting this name over here is because we want to instantiate the values that are going to come from the client side, so that whenever it goes to the views and then we get those information, we'll be able to know which ones are for the feature name, which ones are for the lat long, and then which ones are for the feature, and then the longitude and then the latitude. So this should be okay. So we can duplicate this, and then enter, and then we just change the names over here. But I have done this already, so let me just copy it because I have to do a lot of. Let me come down here. Okay. So I have this. So I just showed you how I did mine. I don't need this now. So after you've created your form, you place your form over here. Yeah. Let me use let. So it doesn't keep on changing. The values don't keep on changing. All right. So this should be our content. But this isn't going to show. We want to bind it to. We want to be able to bind this content to our marker whenever the marker is selected, so that whenever we do a click, it should pop up. So to do that, what do we do? Since we have the marker and we want to bind the pop-up, we call the marker again. Then from the marker, we are saying that it should. We have what we call bind pop-up. So this is a method from leaflets. So it will bind a particular content to your marker. So my pop-up content should be here. If I do this, oh, let's add the marker to the map. Let us add this marker to the map. And that should make it interesting. Let's refresh it. So we have our marker showing, but we don't have any pop-up. Okay. What do we do then? When we come here, okay, we have to add, we should open the pop-up. So after it has bound this content to the bind pop-up, let's open the pop-up now. Okay, there's an error somewhere. Let's check it. Reference error, pop-up content isn't defined. Let me use pop-up content, the right name. Okay, so we have this. Let me go through this briefly. So I created my inputs. I gave it a class form name. That's this is a bootstrap stuff to style your inputs, but I haven't referenced any bootstrap CSS, so it shouldn't take effect. So we have our feature name over here. We have our last name over here, and then we have the longitude over here. Now, because I'm getting the lat long here, I'm saying that whenever we click on the marker and then it shows this particular HTML document, it should automatically fill in these fields with the lat and then the long. So we don't have to type it in manually. So I hope you get the correlation. We are already getting it from the marker. After getting it from the marker, we are saying that whatever I get from the marker, the latitude and then the longitude, it should automatically enter it into the field for the latitude and then the field for the longitude. But the feature name, we shall put in our feature name ourselves. Okay. So now we've bound this. We have something like this showing. So the next thing we can just name. Let me close this. So let's say, for instance, I call this maybe water. Let's say water. Now, if I click on this submit, I want these forms to be submitted and then to be entered into my database. So to do that, I have to write a function for that. So within the same function, I come in and then I'm saying, okay, so my button over here, which is the form, you see submit over here. So this same button, I've given it an ID called save. So I'm saying whenever save, because an ID should start with and hash, whenever save is clicked, something should happen. A function should happen. Now let me put E over here, the events. I want to prevent the default, so E dot. Let's prevent the default. And then let's count that. So when I click on save, I want to push the information to my DB. So I want it to happen asynchronously within the background. So I call $ dots, then I call Ajax. After calling Ajax, the curly bracket is saying what are the functions, or what are the statements that I want to pass inside. So more of the options. So the first thing, I must define the URL where I would want the form to be sent, the URL to process the form. So from there, I should state the method. Say the method should be a post. If it doesn't work, we use some letters. After stating the method, we have to put in the headers. So the header goes here. After the header, we have to put in the data. Let's call data. I will define that later on. Okay, so let's say, should this be a success? Then a function should happen. Okay. Now the function I want to put here, if it's a success, it should come with some form of information, data. When I get the data, I'm saying I want to check if that data is true or false, or I want to check the validity of the data before I move on to process or do further stuff. So if or let's say if the data equates to, let me see, done. If the data is equal to done, what do we want to do? I want to remove the marker, so let me just put this as, let's remove the marker, else let's send an alert saying check your data being passed. Okay. So we have to pass the URL over here. So first we have to define this data, and then we have to define our header values. So the moment this is clicked and it prevents default before coming here, let's define data. Let's say data should be equal to, let's call new form data. And call new form data. I have initialized an ID for the form, or created an ID for the form called form. And saying you should get that form. When it gets it, it should get the values within that form. So get.0 gets the first instance of the values within the form. So I've defined this data, and this data is what I'm putting over here, right? Okay, so we're done with this. Now let's define our token. So our token should be equal to record this, and then We call this Csrf token again, Csrf token. Because we are using Ajax, we have to initialize this over here. Otherwise, once you submit it, it is going to say that there is no Csrf token given, so it's not going to continue processing the information. So when we come here, we call X, okay, it's given to me Csrf token. It should be equal to the token over here. Data is equal to data. So we need a URL. So let me see, the URL that I want to send this to should be, let's give it the URL save feature. Save feature. Right, so I've defined this function, but if I should submit it, it's not going to work because this URL doesn't exist. So I come to my URL.py over here, and then I copy these URLs here, and then I paste it. So call this, let's give the name save feature. Now, even though I'm saying that from the views, it should get save feature. Save feature is not in the view. So if I should go to my terminal, it should give me an error over here saying save feature. There's no attributes within the views called save feature. So let's go to the views and then define that save feature. So copy this, I paste this over here. And because I want to save into my DB, I have to go to this particular package, and then I want to import everything. So you should go here, you should go to models, and then it should get me everything that is within my models module. Once it gets it, I should name here save feature also. Now my error is no more. Okay, so let's define our save feature. So whenever this URL is called, which is save feature, the next thing it's going to do is it's going to create the view that is connected to the save feature URL, and this is the view connected to it. So it will come back to the index, and then it is going to get the data in here, and then it will send it to this save feature, and this save feature brings it to the view over here. So it is going to come with the data that we need. So we are going to say if the request that is being made, the method, if it equates to post, then it should process it. Because the method we are using, let me go back here. You can see that we are using the method post over here. So we are saying if the method is equal to post, we have, you look at the names, because the views is going to get the data from the names which you have over here. So we have feature name, we have lat, and then we have long, and they are the same names that I have in my models over here. So I'm going to use that same names in accessing the data. So let me come back to my views, and then I'm going to say, let me use feature name. This can be any other name. I just want to, for easy identification, I'm giving the name feature name, and then since the data is coming from request, I'm saying if request dot post. Now it should get the data from the post data, and then the data that I wanted to get is the feature name, which is from the form. So it's going to get the data that is going to get the information from the input with this feature name. So we copy, and then we do the same for the lat and then the long. So let's call here lat, and then we call here long. Let me just verify again. The long, okay, long. So after we have this, now we can call this. We can call the collect now, because the collect is the blueprint for our physical database. So we call collect in here. Now, when we call collect, we are saying that we every model has an object manager, and the object manager is what allows us to be able to access the the fields and the values that are within the field. So you are saying that from the collect, you should get us the objects. Then we want to create. So we are creating objects into this collect, which is our table. The object that we are going to create, we already have my models. We already have feature lat long, so we have to call those same names and then save our values in there. So I call feature. So I'm saying this feature, which is from the model, it should input this feature name there. So whatever value I'm getting in here in this variable, I want to save it in here. And then I want to do same for lat and then long. So this is going to create and then save it. So let me keep this into a variable. Let me just go, let's say, let me give it the name save data. So if everything goes through, I want to say it should return HTTP response. Done. I'm using done over here because I'm saying that if everything goes well, if it's a success, then the data that is going to get, it should check if that data is equal to done. The data is going to get will be what I'm returning from the HTTP response, which is done. So it's going to come in, it's going to get function is equal to done. They're going to say if done equals to done, which is equal to done, then it should do something. Okay, so let's try this out. So let's see. That is the case. Let us have let's just say yes. Done. Let me refresh the page. And then let's save this. Let's see what let's save this. Okay, I have an error somewhere. Illegal invocation. Maximum content type should be multi-part from data. But let's put here, let's see. Error here. So I hope you see how the debugging is also being done to get the right information. Let's see what another error. 50 is Ajax. Am I not calling the exact so? No. Sign agent. Okay, let me verify from here. Sign agent. So what am I missing? What am I missing? Does anybody know what I'm missing? It seems I'm missing some information. The post scraps. $56. Data content type. We don't have process data content type therefore. Okay. Let's see. Let's just copy this. Let's put them here. Let's see if it will work. So, now there's an error. Okay. So that seems to be the pattern. Okay. Just truncate this thing. Okay. So it wasn't working because there was no process data and content type. That's interesting. All right, let's try and save the data now. Let's see. Let's refresh this page. Then water. Let's see this. So it is returning the done and saying that it is done. So let's see if that's true. So let's go to our database. Let's see whether we have contents in there. Okay, so it is showing we have water and then we have the lat and then the long. So currently we don't want to show these two stuff. So let's take them out. And then we wouldn't want alerts anymore. We would want to say if it works, then you should get as the marker and then you should close. You should close the pop-up. That pop-up shouldn't still be there. So we come here. Let's give it class. Let's give this to hidden. Let's see. Oh, let me reference bootstrap. Let me get some bootstrap from. I don't have bootstrap here. Let's go to Django. Bootstrap. I should have bootstrap here. Like that. So what I'm doing now is I want to reference the bootstrap, so I'm bringing the bootstrap files in here into my static, the collector. So we have bootstrap here. So reference bootstrap.css. From collector, I go to put bootstrap. From bootstrap, we have CSS. Then we have bootstrap.css. Then we have JS also. We can reference the JS here. Okay. Let's copy this bootstrap from collector bootstrap. Collector, bootstrap here. And JS. JS. Bootstrap and JS. Okay. Okay, I have to give this a width again. Let's give this a width. Let's say 200 px. 200 px isn't opening this, so we'll come down. 200 px. To the full pattern. Change this to 200. Copy this class. Record style. This is a class. So I call this class over here. Give it a width. So 200 px. Let's see. Okay. Well, for some reason, this isn't hiding. Let's know this our time. Okay. Let me see. Use JS to take that out. So the moment this is good. Let's go. Let's see. Let's hide. Let's hide the last. Let's hide them also. So we want to hide these two. If this doesn't work, then it should be initialized below this. Record this. No, record this last. Anyway, yeah, you can just check on it how to write it anyway. So we have our data being saved. We put in the features. Let's see what you click save. Once it is processed, because of let me come here. Let's see. The marker shouldn't be available anymore. All right. So not to waste any more time. Let's see. Here should be land. Why isn't it saving again? And so give me a minute. Let me see why this thing is messing up. So, it shouldn't be here. Then another should have. Let's see what the. Let's see it. Let's call this buildings or so, or whatever it should be. Okay, let's see. Yeah, sure, within our DB. Let's just run the DB again. Yeah, so I'll just end here now. So leaflet has dot remove layer, which you can use in removing this leaflet layer, this markets. Yeah, I hope I'm not missing any other thing. I think that's the purpose of the meeting has been accomplished. We are able to pick features from the map, get the last long, and then we are able to save whatever information that we pick from here, the client side, into the DB. So to a little recap, we have a client interface. All we have over here is just JS HTML, and then we link in our JS files, which gives us the leaflets. After we have the leaflet, because we want to be able to pick features, we are saying we are hitting the map. So we call map, and then the on just says that if the map is on focus. So we have map, and we are focusing on the map now. Once we focus on it, and then we are saying when we click it, that is what we have over here. Then a function should be initialized or should be activated. Now that function that is going to be activated, the E over here stands for event. So we are saying that event, we should get the last long from the event. Automatically it's going to come with those information. Now once we are getting the last long, we are initializing that last long into the marker, because leaflet marker gets a latitude and then a longitude, then other features. I think this draggable should give you the opportunity to drag your markers if you want it. If you don't want it, you just turn to false, or you don't reference the draggable at all. And you realize that when we clicked on the map, there was nothing showing on the map because we hadn't added this method, which is the add to map, meaning that we want to add the marker symbol to the map. Now, so it was showing. Then after we bound this HTML form, we bound this form to the marker such that whenever the marker is alive or it is active, then it should bind this pop-up to it. Once it binds the pop-up, it should open the pop-up so we see the contents of the pop-up. So that is what this particular code is doing. Once it binds this pop-up, we want it to be opened. And then once it is opened and then we input our data, we are saying that we are going to click submit. We are going to click this submit. So once this submit is clicked, then we come here, which is the dot save. We are getting the ID or the identification for the save button. We are saying that once it is clicked, then a function should be activated, and then that function's event, we want to prevent default. Sometimes when you click on the buttons, especially if you are using an anchor. To do that, it's automatically going to use the href to send the data, which is it's going to be it's going to use the href to send the data. We don't want that. We don't want the page to be refreshed. We want it to have the same interface, and we want our thing to be sent asynchronously or Ajax wise. So we use events. It should prevent the default, which is like to send it using the href. Even though we are not using that over here, I like to keep that. Then this new form data gets the data from a form document. So the form that we have over here, we are saying that we are specifying a particular form, which is the form we have over here. We realize that I have a form ID over here. So we are getting that form. When we get the form .get0, we learned this already. We can have multiple forms. So get0 is saying that you should get the values of the first form, but we have just one form. So automatically 0 stands for the form that we have over here. And we talked about the Csrf token. We are saying that it helps to prevent people from inducing you to do something you don't want to do. So it's like a save button for it's a save button for clients on the internet. Now, because we are saying we want to use Ajax takes URL method headers data, then the content type process data. And realize that when the process data was not there, it wasn't working, it wasn't processing the data. So you should also take note of that. So the URL is just this URL. So I mean, you understand this already. The method is a post, it's not a get. Get would, when you use a method and you use the method get is saying that it should. We use the difference between post and get is that get allows your whatever that you are sending online is going to be reflected in here within this URL. So you realize that you have your form data and then all the contents showing in the URL documents in the URL space over here. We don't want that because we might be dealing with some sensitive information. So we are saying you should use post, meaning that it's going to hide that data and send that data for you. So that's what the difference between the post and then the get. Then other instances, the difference between post and get is that get is to get some information, and then post is actually to post an information. So one is getting, one is sending. That's at another instance also. Then for the headers, we are sending this token that has been explained. Data is going to get this data that we have initialized over here. Then we have the content type. The content type is talking about the content type of the data. So this multi-part form data is usually used when you are dealing with multiple data, which means you are dealing with like images and stuff. Then you have to use the multi-part form data. But if that's not the case, you can just leave it empty. That should also work. Success over here is saying should everything work well, then you should do something. These I've explained already. So yeah, I think we are done with this explanation. And when we come to the views again, this is understandable. So this is the normal way. If you want to render an HTML document onto your interface, you define a method or a view. So you know functions already. Then you give it the function name. You pass in the request. The request should always be the more than not here. Then we are saying you should return render, and then you pass in the HTML document. This is how to do it. More than on this, the easiest way you can do it. The other way is like using a template method. That's also not to confuse you. And here, because we are using post, we are saying if the request or method is post. Now, if it is not post, it's going to be a get. So the get is much more like when we visit the page for the first time, that's a get. So nothing is going to happen when we visit the page for the first time. But once we are submitting and it is a post, it is going to read from the method over here. And it's going to say, okay, the data coming is actually a post data. So then we should do this. If the data isn't a post data, then it is going to jump this. This condition isn't going to be true. So it is going to jump and it's going to give us just the HTML document shown. All right. So that's all for today. So if you have any questions now, the floor is open for me to answer those questions. Do you have any questions? Okay, it looks like there are no questions. So you can check how to take the marker off and just add some more um, functionalities to it. You can also, when you're done, you can also try calling whatever data that you have inputted into the DB back onto the map interface. Should you want to do so, that's also possible. You can do that. For that, you also have to call the collect the objects. But this time around, you are going to use all instead of create. So it's going to get all the instances of the objects within the database. When you get it, then you know what to do. You can search it on. You can search it online. There are resources that should help you place whatever information you have onto the database. Oh, from GeoServer. If you want data from GeoServer, so you realize that GeoServer allows you to create WMS and then WFS tiles. So it's much more like you getting the once you create it, all you have to do is to get the URL. So once you get a URL for the geodata from for the resources on the GeoServer, you come to your JS and then you reference the URL and then you just call the URL. So that one is much more easier to do actually. With that one, you're just calling the URL and then you write a simple function. Hold on. Yeah, you should just one or two statements as to how you want the data to be displayed. But this awful Django now. As we go on, we'll be able to look at how to. I think this training, maybe NSU is going to talk more about it, but either later this year or maybe probably next year, we'll be organizing a much more in-depth one. So, but I think NS is going to show more light on that later on. So, yeah, but this is just for as beginners for us to be able to appreciate Django and understand how it works. Any other information or question? Great. So it seems there are no questions. So we'd like to bring the meeting to an end now. And I think NS is currently indisposed. So that is all for now. We'll be looking at, I don't know, maybe probably React on Thursday, probably. But if anything, we'll relay the information to you guys. So have a nice day or evening. Thanks for coming to the session. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Ernest, I'm done then.